We got one in the chat that's kind of interesting. He says, Lee Ving, I love that name. He says, would Trey be the number one pick in this draft? Lack of reps and injuries included. If Trey Lance were in this draft, based on what everything you know, where would you have him slotted?
No, he would not be the number one, and that's not even really a knock on Trey Lance. Just you got to remember when he's coming out. He's coming out of the FCS. He's coming out of North Dakota State. He wasn't even one of the 131 D1A teams that he's competing against. So, like, there's still that. How will he handle not just a rise in level of competition in the NFL, but like we haven't even seen him against really talented P5 competition. So that certainly is working against him. And I think, to expand on it a little more, I think we do have a pretty good comp in this class for, Trey, which is Anthony Richardson. I see a lot of similarities, 6'4", 235. You see Anthony Richardson off platform where he has a huge arm. You see him unleashing 40-yard downfield passes on a dime while rolling on almost a dead sprint out to the right. It's tougher to do rolling left as a right-handed quarterback. But you see him make those throws, and, it's there. That particular, potential is present. I think you saw a lot of that with Lance, too, his big arm. So I do think we see that. But, with Richardson, we did see him in the SEC, but we only had 18 games with which to do an eval of him. The other signal callers who were at the top there, I would say, of the top five, with Hendon Hooker, very seasoned. We know what we're getting out of him. He's 25 years old. Will Levis will be 24. Bryce Young, at the biggest stage at Alabama, we've seen him. And that same goes for CJ Stroud. So I think with having two established signal callers in Young and Stroud that we've seen succeed on the highest level, we've seen especially with Stroud, where there was a little bit of question about his mobility, if he would, be able to run and break the pocket and scramble, which he had been kind of averse to do. We saw him do everything you need against Georgia and answer those questions. So I couldn't in good conscience put Trey Lance above Stroud and Young, but I would put him on that same sort of a plane with Anthony Richardson in terms of very toolsy developmental quarterbacks that are enticing.
Anthony Richardson may even be faster. Huh? I mean, Richardson's really explosive. I saw him earlier this year in a couple games, and I thought, wow, I mean, this guy's big and fast and strong-armed, and where Trey's got mobility, but I don't know that he's got Richardson kind of speed. Just wondering how, if we went back to that 2021 draft that had Lawrence go 1, Zach Wilson 2, the 49ers took Trey Lance 3rd, Justin Fields went 11, I think, in that draft. Mac Jones went 15, Davis Mills, I think, went round 2. How did you have the quarterbacks ranked in that draft, if you remember?
Yeah, I had it as, obviously, Trevor Lawrence. He's a generational prospect, and I don't think anybody's gonna, have any qualms with him being the top guy. But then I had Justin Fields as my 2, and then I had Trey Lance as my 3, Mac Jones my 4, and Zach Wilson is my 5. I'm a New England Patriots guy too, so I was like the intangibles of Jones. You see how he is absolutely possessed with with studying, with doing everything he needs to do in order to be, a quality, dependable starting quarterback in the NFL. So, like, I like that aspect of him, obviously, and, the pedigree and doing it on the big stage. But I even despite that, I still hold. I still think that I still think he is the number 3 because we don't know yet. And he does have those tools. And I think there's enough questions about whether Mac Jones really has the physical skills and, the total package to be able to be, an upper echelon level quarterback, that I think there's still time for Lance because he's so young, coming out too. And he does have time. We haven't seen him. I would still probably put him in that 3 spot. I think there still is that potential there. So I would. It just depends on, hey, what does San Francisco think? What are they
Exactly.
going to do?
Beauty in the eye of the beholder. It's funny. We get this one from Basmian, who says, draft another quarterback that scores high on the cognition test, which Brock did. It's funny. Brock had the 1-5-5 10-yard split, and I don't think too many people looked at that. And then if you watched him this year, his ability to escape the rush was impressive. And then you look at that 10-yard split, and it's not that different than Tyreek Hill. And it's a really great time for a quarterback. To me, Brian Billick one time said to me, he said, the hardest thing to evaluate in the NFL is the quarterback versus what's going on around the quarterback, which is a great point. Everybody points to something different. Some people want to see career starts. Some people want to see completion percentage. A lot of it is feel. The truth be told, many of us scouts don't know what exactly we're looking for. We can't really define it. We have to see it first. That all being said, what traits do you point to, Eric, when you're scouting the quarterbacks as the vital traits, the most important ones?
I think piggybacking on Coach Billick, the ability to handle pressure, stand tall, and feel what's happening around you. Like having that sixth sense of just feeling everything and being calm and standing and delivering a strike while under pressure. I think that ability is just innate to quarterback play, and there's no way. And that was kind of going back to CJ Stroud, what people had a little bit of concerns about, because like he has a brick wall in front of him. He's rarely rushed. How do we know what he's going to do when he's not just standing back there and comfortably surveying the field and distributing to the great wide receivers of their generation? Wilson, Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Jackson Smith and Jigba. 5 absolute first-round caliber talents. How do you parse through that? And I really do think that, like you said, as stated, the ability to handle pressure, and then the ability to off-platform, outside of structure, instead of just tucking the ball down and running at the first sign of pressure, being able to reset when you get outside of that pocket, recalibrate, see the field, and be able to win when you're in that situation off platform, because things are going to break down. You're going to have to be able to move. You can't be a statue inside the pocket, which is something that does really concern me about Tanner McKee, from this class. But I do think that there's an element of mobility every quarterback has to have, and it ties into, just pocket navigation, feeling the pressure, and delivering.